to get the last of the red tomatoes that's currently around. I mean, there's loads more tomatoes on, but they'll be off a few more weeks until they get red. Unfortunately, one of my courgettes looks like it's been nibbled by this large slug that was lurking. But on the plus side, check out these massive lads. I mean, crumbs, they're not to be sniffed at. I mean, that's practically a marrow rather than, well, a small marrow or a very large courgette. Oh dear, I don't think my attempts to tape up the holes in the grow house worked that well. I guess I'll have to pop the bucket back in. Afternoon, a bit of an overcast day today. Not a huge amount that needs doing, just sort of pottering around, checking out the marrows as they increasingly are. They're all looking pretty swell. I mean, literally, they're quite big and swollen. Having a good weed of the paths, as you can see. Pulling out all the bindweed and the couch grass and everything. I'll find some bins to pop that in. So yeah, the courgettes are doing pretty well. Looking at the other squashes, some of the butternut squashes are doing pretty okay. I'm not too sure about this one though. It doesn't feel too squishy. And then there's a few others lurking around. Was there? No, I don't think there's one there, but yeah, that's not a bad size. It's, a fair few centimetres. The lone spaghetti squash is out of focus, but that's not a bad size. A lot of the other ones seem to be rotting again, but at least if I get one of them off. And we finally seem to be getting some tromboncinos, and there's another courgette in the background. So these ones are a bit slower, but that's not doing too shabby. The seedlings in the cold frame are coming along. We've got some of the peas that are just coming up. I can't remember what kind of peas they are off the top of my head. I'll pop it on the screen. Then there's some perpetual spinach, which is good, given that most of mine seems to be bolting. Some, I think they're durum early cabbages, and then some lettuces of various kinds, because it looks like the Valmains are starting to bolt, some of them. So they'll be good to fill in the gaps. And some basil in this pot, which I found in the abandoned plots in the woodland area, so I think that'll work quite well. I think I'm going to be able to get one more harvest off the rhubarb. I know you stop pulling rhubarb about midsummer, and we're in the middle of July, so that's probably about now. So get some of this off. Going to a socially distanced barbecue tomorrow, so I was thinking of bringing a rhubarb and raspberry crumble, which would be pretty nice and be a fun way to use up last of the rhubarb for this year. And then I'll have to think in the autumn about splitting this, because there's quite a few different crowns. I think that's two. One there. Is there another one there? Or is that even two? I'm not sure, but I can definitely split these. Maybe get them into a line where the potatoes are going to come out. And then that'll be quite nice. Have just sort of a row of rhubarb, and that'll be easier to weed around about and pull them out. Speaking of more room for fruit plants, I think I definitely popped the blackberry and the raspberry far too close together. They were so tiny. I mean, obviously plants grow, it's what they do, but I wasn't expecting them to spread out quite so much. And also these frames are obviously a bit too small. I do have a bigger one that Carly very kindly gave me, so I might do a bit of a switcheroo. That'll be a bit taller and be easier to get them all tied in there. And we've got quite a few little raspberries coming along, which is pretty cool. I really wasn't expecting them to do anything this year, so fingers crossed that the pigeons don't get them. Take a drink every time I say fingers crossed. Pulled out a few radishes and then some very sad bolted pak choy. Luckily I've got a few more little seedlings coming along now. These are some of the Lucia F ones. They're that one's split, unfortunately. I guess it hasn't been watered well enough. I mean, they're quite small, but I think they're a lot nicer when they're smaller. And the first of the flamboyant 3, which is pretty fun. They're a slightly different shape. So it'll be interesting, because I mean, I've always said that I kind of like radishes, but these ones are just really, really hot. So whether, as these ones are now smaller, they'll be a bit tastier, whether the flams will be nicer, we'll see. After a really slow start, the chard is doing grand. I mean, it's obviously been a bit nibbled. I'm not sure whether this is by birds when the leaves were smaller, or maybe by snails. So, sorry, that's my Disney or by snails that I know are around. But, you know, they've really picked up, so that's quite good. And so have the spring onions. I think some of these are actually... Oh, there were some new ones there. I think some of these will actually be pretty much big enough to come out soon, but I do have quite a few already in the fridge, so I'll leave them in for a bit longer. Also coming along quite nicely are some of the beans. These are the ones that Tom and Sylvia gave me, which is why they're actually doing something. The mine are a bit more... Not sure that one's going to hold on that well. Maybe if it dies I'll stick one of the peas in. I think I may take... I mean, there aren't many at the moment, but there's maybe... How many have we got there? 2, 3... 3, okay. 3 is not a huge number, but... Ooh, that one's a wee bit small. But yeah, 3 beans. Take those now, I guess. The enormous finally picked up, but I don't know, it's weird. The enorma on this side and then the Scala tempera there, they're looking really weak, sort of quite anemic looking. I might pop some blood fish and bone down on the surface before I water them to see if that helps perk them up a bit. Yeah, I think that's definitely gone. Oh well, sayonara squash. The sweet corn seems to have picked up. It was looking a bit anemic, but it's a lot happier now. Unfortunately, the last of my original spinach that I put in, I think, is definitely on the way out. I did think it had managed to not bolt, but then evidently it has, and it's not making any more leaves, so I might as well pull this out. Which means, especially if I also get rid of the last of this lettuce, then I'll have this bit of the bed left, which means, what am I going to put in it? I mean, I do have the things that I've been starting off in the cold frame, so I guess they can come in. I've also got some more leeks that I've done on my balcony. They're more musselburgh, I think it is. Did I really do those on the... Oh, that's May, 28th of May. I was about to say, I didn't think this was 28th of March. So they can go in the gap. I do obviously have a few more that are on the other side of the beetroot, but they're not even this big, and they were planted quite a while before. Oh. We're going to be joined. Sorry, I mean, leeks are interesting, but they're not as interesting as tills. Hey, tills. What are you doing? Someone's got a nice new collar with a bell on, so hopefully you're not going to catch so many mice all the time. What are you doing? You're off for a sniff. Oh, and a wash. Anyway, as I was saying, the leeks by the beetroot, they're not doing very well, so I may just let the tromboncino sort of grow over the top of them, and then put these new leeks in the gap next to the sweet corn. I mean, there are some of the other leeks that I originally planted out. I think that would have been... I sowed them like the middle of March when I sowed everything else. They're starting to thicken up, but, you know, can always have a few more leeks. I'm not even sure there's actually any usable leaves on there at all. I mean, maybe some of the tiny ones at the top, but these big ones, they're all past their best, which is a bit annoying. A few more good ones on here, I think, and also a little ladybird. That's the problem with the spinach around here. There's always so many ladybirds and everything. I need to give them a good going over before I take those home. Which means I've got a decent amount of room here for something else. On the bus side here, I think the Sinesta beans... I've just about got one of each. One on each side, rather. Coming up. I may... Gosh, sorry, I thought I was... Am I zooming? Zoom out. I think I've just about got one on each side of the frame. They may need to be moved a little bit because they are a bit far apart, but that's something at least. Oh, there we go. Last of the leeks, and these are more musselburgh. Is that how you... Oh, someone caught a mouse. No, we haven't. These are the last of the leeks in, is what I was going to say. I've finally taken out spinach, moved the Sinesta dwarf beans, so they're actually next to the bean frame. Well, I say bean frame, you know, it's another clothes horse. Hopefully all the leeks will be quite happy, sort of squeezed in amongst the sweet corn, and then these lettuces, they'll come out tomorrow. Going to have a socially distanced barbecue on Sunday. So I'll pop up first thing and grab what few actual big lettuce leaves are there so they can go in burgers, and that'll be quite good. And then the rest of these can come out. And then in the gap maybe I'll pop in the cabbage. I think I've already said this. I also quickly popped around to work because there's a huge bramble, which means at the moment it just looks like a black hole. Blackberries is what I was trying to say. They're pretty good. I can put them in the rhubarb crumble with the rhubarb, which I need to pull out. Shazam! Should make a nice crumble. And now the rhubarb's looking a little sparser, so I can actually get in and weed, and then I think that'll be the last of the rhubarb, really. I mean, obviously there's plenty of stalks there, so I mean, I guess maybe I could take some more off, but I think I'll leave it. I had a good harvest. I've got some in the freezer, so let it regenerate, and then next year hopefully a good harvest again. I think Tilly might appreciate some catnip. The only problem is there seem to be quite a few ants in the compost. I hope that doesn't mean that they've just built a nest in my bag of compost that's by the crow house. Oh dear, what a way to end the day. I take it back, let's end on a happier note with some beans. And another bean. And a third one for good luck. As long as I don't drop the second one. Are there any others? Yeah, any others lurking? At least any others that aren't wee little beans. Wee out of focus little beans. Da 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 da.